Good morning. I think we'd all agree that we live in a very, very difficult time. We deal in a time where there's a lot of pain, where there's a lot of confusion, where there's a lot of anxiety. We're worried about our jobs. We're worried about our economic security. Some of us who have been saving for retirement have been watching our 401ks melt away, and it's just a real uncertain time. And there's a sense sometimes is, where is God in all this? Is God really paying attention in the midst of our trouble, in the midst of our pain, in the midst of our confusion? There's a little prophet in the Old Testament. His name is Habakkuk, and Habakkuk asked the same question. Habakkuk wrote during a time where there was great poverty and oppression in the nation of Israel, where things weren't going well at all, where there was a lot of uncertainty and chaos in the country. And he cries out to God at the beginning of this little book in chapter 1, and he says, God, where are you in all this? Have you forgotten about us? Do you care that we're going through this experience of suffering? And so what we see in this incredible prophet is that God responds to Habakkuk's prayer, but he does so in an unexpected way. He says to Habakkuk, Habakkuk, I care, I'm listening, and I'm going to answer your prayer. I'm going to respond to your concerns, but it's not going to be in a way that you expect. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it worse. I'm going to bring an army from the north, the Babylonians down, and they're going to cart the people off to captivity. How do you like that for an answered prayer? I think most of us would say that is not the kind of answered prayer that I'm looking for. But yet Habakkuk still trusts God throughout this book. And at the end of chapter 3, he is just as confused. He's confused, he's uncertain, he's anxious about his circumstances, but what has changed is his perspective. His perspective has changed. Because instead of having his eyes on his circumstances, he's put his eyes on God. And at the end of this little book of Habakkuk, we read, in my opinion, one of the greatest confessions in all of the Bible. Because what we read in chapter 3 and verse 16, we read these words, I heard and my heart pounded, my lips quivered at the sound. Decay crept into my bones and my legs trembled. Yet I will wait patiently. Listen to those words. I will wait patiently for the day of calamity to come on the nation invading us. And here's the confession. In the midst of the chaos, he says these words, though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stalls, yet, I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my Savior. The sovereign God, the sovereign Lord, the God that's in control, the God that's in control of our circumstances, whether we perhaps have lost a job, or we're worried about our economic security, or worried about our health, or we're concerned about our family or loved ones that we are taking care of. All of those concerns, he says, you are in control, God. My sovereign God, He is my strength, and He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to go on the heights and walk on high places. That's a prophet who has come to the place where he understands that even though things get as bad as they can be, even if there are no cattle in the stalls, even though the crops have failed, even though it gets awful, and we go through circumstances we can't understand, that we will trust in God. And so I want to leave you with a couple of things today, a couple of ideas. First of all, God doesn't guarantee certainty. He doesn't guarantee that we'll understand everything. But here is what He guarantees. He guarantees that He is in control. He guarantees that He's a loving God who's faithful and who fulfills His promises and wants to be near to us if we'll just draw near to Him. He asks us to trust in His goodness and His faithfulness and the fact that He fulfills His promise and He loves us and He'll take care of us. Let's trust in those promises today. Even though things around us seem uncertain, God never changes. He's always the same.